So I'm in the fifth grade, and I had already had two celebrity crushes. The first was Sebastian Bach from Skid Row, which was a big hair band in the 80s. Popularized by two songs, one of which I liked and the other of which I loved. 18 and Life was the first song. But there is this song called I Remember You. And to me, it was the most beautiful song in the whole wide world. Of course, I was in the fifth grade at the time. But I used to practice kissing the back of my hand, imagining Sebastian Bach in the shower with that song playing in my head, imagining that he was singing it to me. The second was John Bon Jovi. And John Bon Jovi is pretty self-explanatory if you're a woman of my generation. Living on a Prayer. Oh my God, I'll Be There for You. Always, Bed of Roses. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, John Bon Jovi, people. John Bon Jovi. But my very first real crush was Nick. And Nick went to my school. Nick was the grandson of this apparently fairly well-known American composer, which was sort of his claim to fame in school. And Nick had this sandy brown hair with gold, I guess golden highlight kind of stuff. I say highlights like he went to a colorist, but no, it was all his. And he had this kind of wicked smile. And I did not think the sun rose in the east until he got out of bed in the morning. I'm telling you, it was so severe. And it was scary because I'd never had a crush prior to fifth grade. And then I was still kind of John Bon Jovi and Sebastian Bach, okay, but they're I'm never going to meet them. You know what I mean? But this was a person. This was a person I knew. And a person I saw every day, Monday through Friday, because we were in the same grade. And he played football, as I recall. Yeah, football and baseball. And okay, at this particular school, you had to play a sport every season. So I would pick the most non-confrontational sport I could possibly find, like tennis and skiing and stuff like that. And so, but I remember the very first time that I ever had lobster was with Nick. It was my birthday, and I hated birthday parties with such a passion, still do. And so my parents offered to take me and a friend out to dinner. So I chose Nick, and we went to Morton's Steakhouse in Boston. And I got a steak, and he got the lobster. And I got to try some. And it was the most amazing thing I had ever eaten. I was really going to say something else there. But we came back to my house, and he had gotten me a movie. What the hell was the name of that movie? Young Sherlock Holmes, which he had already seen and apparently re-gifted to me because he had totally recommended it. P.S. I did not like that movie, but I loved it because it came from him. So we came back to my house, and I remember that we were sitting in what my mother always called the sun parlor, which the rest of America will know as the TV room. And I told Nick that I loved him. And Nick looked at me and said, "Don't be a queer." And I didn't really know what a queer was, but the way he said it, I knew it was bad. So I started to cry. And then I went into the bathroom and I found an old wire. And I cannot for the life of me, because I mean, my house was, y'all would just have to meet my mother. My house was meticulous. I mean, there's just random ass wire. Like, it would never happen. So where it came from, I will never ever know. But it was green. It was a green wire. And I put it to my wrist. And I started to scratch myself with it. And I didn't break the skin or anything like that. But I remember feeling the pain of the wire on my wrist somehow made the pain of him calling me that word and not telling me that he loved me too didn't seem so bad. So I came out of the bathroom and I dried my tears and everything, and I went up to him and I showed him my wrist. And he looked at me, and I guess he didn't say anything then, but I have to assume that he was frightened, because after that night, he wouldn't be my friend anymore. And he would be mean to me in the hallway at school and say really nasty things. And it hurt my feelings a lot. And I think, because I left that school after 6th grade, I think at the end of 6th grade we were probably on cordial terms, but it was never the same. And that was the end of me and Nick. And come to find, because as research for this little project, I actually Googled him. I guess he's become someone somewhat of note in literary circles to some degree, because he has a fan club, like DK, a fan club on Facebook. And yeah, a whole lot of hits popped up when I Googled him. And I saw his pictures, and I still see that smile. I still see that kid in the 5th grade. I don't even think he would know who I was anymore. But that was my very first tangible crush. And how I knew that men were pretty much going to be the star of the show in my life. And that was the only time I've ever physically harmed myself over a man who did not like me. Just so that we put that out there. But yeah, so here's to Nick.